Welcome. I'm Carl Frederick, and I will be interviewing individuals for Kenosha Voices, an oral history project of the Kenosha County Historical Society in conjunction with Kenosha Community Media. I have worked in newspapers for more than 40 years as an editor and a reporter. 38 and a half of those years were at the Kenosha News. I am also a member of the Kenosha County Historical Society Board. We hope you enjoy these programs. I'm speaking with Terry Rose, longtime county supervisor. Thank you for joining me today.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here.
Okay. You're a Kenosha native, is that correct?
Yes, I was born and raised here and graduated from high school and came back after law school.
Okay, and then you've been in law practice since?
I've been an attorney for some 58 years in August. I practiced here 57 years in August. I was a law clerk to a federal judge at the U.S. Court of Appeals in Chicago for a year after high school college law school graduation.
Okay. And you decided at some point that you wanted to run for a county supervisor post.
That's correct, in 1986.
And what were the reasons that prompted you to seek that post?
Well, I was always interested in local government. One of my neighbors and good friend suggested it, and so I thought I would see what it was all about.
Okay, and did you have an opponent at that
I did. I had two opponents at the time. One was it was a primary. Frank Gagliardi, the electrician and electrical contractor, was one, and John Allen, a longtime Republican leader in Kenosha and an executive over at the American Brass, was the other. Frank Gagliardi and I made it out of the primary, and I won in the general election by 38 votes.
38, and then how long did you serve in your position?
38 years.
38 years, 38 votes. Okay. Did you have any goals when you became a county supervisor?
Well, in 1986, Kenosha was dominated by the traditional industrial factories that had come to Kenosha in the early 1900s. You might call that the first industrial revolution of Kenosha. The American Motors, or what was Nash, American Brass, Frost Company, Arneson Foundry, and numerous others. I knew that Kenosha was going to be changing. I felt that these companies were probably on their way out, and as it turned out, none of them are in existence today. I was very much in favor of diversification of our commercial and industrial base. That's what really prompted my interest in local government.
And what were the first committees you served on when you became a county supervisor?
First committees I served on were the Human Services Committee and the Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee.
Okay, and were those kind of committees close to what you wanted to work on?
Well, of course, I'm a lawyer, and so being on the Judiciary Committee was important to me. From a professional perspective, human services I thought was something of interest because it had so many dollars to assist people in the community.
Okay, and what do you think were the reasons that you won that first election?
Well, I got more votes, so, but I suppose that I was a new face, but active in the community, and of course Mr. Gagliardi was very well known as well.
Okay. And looking at those first 5 or 10 years, do you see any particular successes that you had serving?
Well, I think one of the biggest springboards to the changing industrialization of Kenosha was the Highway 165, which was a country road developed into a major thoroughfare to I-94, and the industrialization of what we know as the West Park or Pleasant Prairie's Industrial Park, and that has stimulated a great deal of growth in the area. It was the beginning of the success for Pleasant Prairie. I remember being on the Highway Committee my second term on the county board, and Earl Hollister, who was a longtime county leader, was the chair of that committee. And he said, with Highway 165, you're going to see 5,000 jobs in that area. And everybody on the committee thought 5,000 jobs was unheard of. It's developed much, much bigger than that because 165 has spun out to I-94 industrialization, as well as further development of other industrial parks. So it's much more than 5,000 jobs, but at the time when he said it, it was sort of prophetic.
And at the same time, in these first few years, this was the time in which Chrysler decided to leave.
Yes, they were on their way out, and one of the early county board meetings that we had was, should we commence a lawsuit against Chrysler to stop them from leaving the community? And the vote was no. And there were many, many employees of Chrysler who wanted us to do that, and through fruit and tomatoes at the county board, there was a meeting at the Gateway Technical College, and that they knew that was the beginning of the end for the American Motors presence in the community.
And as a lawyer, what was your opinion about going for such a lawsuit?
I was opposed to it. It wouldn't have been successful. It would have raised false hopes. But private company has a right to come and go into the community, and the community, I think, has thrived since then. Just the natural economic order of things in the world today, Chrysler would not have survived. Now it has gone through processes of partnership with Renault, Mercedes, and now with what they call Stellantis, which is really Fiat. And it's a shadow of itself. Jeep is all that is left. So whether or not that was the early signs of the demise of Chrysler and so many other automobile companies that we don't hear of today.
How about that second 10 years, from 96 to 2006? Any particular issues, anything that you recall that were successful?
Well, my focus of attention always on the county board has been economic development. That's been my particular interest, and I think that's an ongoing issue even today, and we've got to continue to fight for new companies to come to the community, particularly now the city. New companies that have come to places like Pleasant Prairie or Bristol, be it Amazon or Uline, are two of the most prominent. But the city has been left behind, in my opinion. We don't have the kind of development there that we need, and consequently, the per capita income in the city and county is not what it should be.
You mentioned economic development and a new kind of industrialization. A lot of this building of new companies has been warehousing.
A lot of it has.
Do you see this as a good replacement for industrialization, or is that just not quite as good as we'd like to have? Well,
it is what it is, and I guess it's better than nothing. And that's, I think, the view of community leaders. But we do have other companies locating, drug companies. There's a couple of them in the process, as well as Amazon, Uline. I don't know if I wouldn't call those warehousing, but we're doing better. Pfizer was here for a period of time as well during COVID. They relocated. And I'm not sure why, but they have now been Novo Nordisk, I believe, is one. That's an international company based out of one of the Scandinavian countries. So we're doing better, breaking out of the warehouse mold. That was the beginning of new places coming here. We also have the mall commercial, which brings a lot of people from Illinois and elsewhere to shop at Pleasant Prairie Mall.
You also served on the finance committee for a long time. How
I
many years
did.
were you on the finance committee?
I didn't keep track of it, but I'm sure it was. I know that it was over 20 years.
Okay, and what did you think you brought to the finance committee when you said the law, economic development were some of your big focuses? What did you think about being on the county finance committee for so long?
Well, I think one thing we wanted to maintain a tax base which was affordable, but also a tax base which was less than Illinois. We've had great migration from northern Illinois to Kenosha County. That's been good. It's been encouraged. And one of the ways of doing that is to have our real estate taxes lower than they are in Lake County. That has been a very positive thing. Second thing on the Finance Committee I think was very important is the fact that we have achieved, at least during my tenure, a AAA bond rating. That demonstrates to the country that we are economically sound, that we balance our budget, that our taxes are commensurate with our ability to pay, and that we maintain a conservative approach to our handling of money. In other words, we're not spending money that we don't have. We're spending money that we do have.
Okay. For a short time, you served as county executive. How long was that, and did you have any particular things to take care of while serving in that role?
Well, this was an era of, I think, of a real black mark on the community, but by then Executive Alan Keel, who ended up resigning because of federal indictment. When I was chair of the county board, I had said when he was indicted, I said he should resign. He did not. He took the position initially that he was presumed innocent, and I have no doubt about that presumption, but I didn't think that he could lead. He remained until he cut a plea bargain with the U.S. attorney. He was charged in federal court, and as part of that plea bargain, he agreed to resign. And under Wisconsin statutes, the county board chairman assumes the responsibility of county executive and then nominates a successor to the county executive. And so I was, for a brief period of time, 1 week, county executive, and so I didn't practice law that week, but maintained that office and then tried to encourage confidence that our local government was not falling apart because of one person. I nominated Mark Wisniewski, who was a long-serving county supervisor, and Mark then fulfilled the term up to the next election when Jim Cruiser was popularly elected. Jim was the only one who sought the office.
Okay. And what made you think that Mark would be a good interim selection prior to the next election?
Well, he had been a long-serving member of the county board over 20 years. He took an approach, a conservative approach to things. I didn't think he would make any radical changes or rock the boat, and we didn't need the boat rocked at that particular time. He was personally a solid fellow. He was a man of integrity. He was honest, and I thought he'd do a very good job.
Okay. Can you tell me some of the supervisors that you worked well with, respected over the years that you were a supervisor?
Well, Mark certainly was one of them. Robert Pitts was another. Gene Bellotti, Earl Hollister. Dennis Elberman. I think all of those were very solid people. Robert Carbone was another. Those are a few that come to mind.
Okay. Were there any other challenging issues during your 38-year tenure? We talked about Chrysler, we talked about the issue with having to replace the county executive. Were there any other issues along the way that came up, the pandemic, the unrest, any of those things that?
Yeah, I think certainly the pandemic that caused a good deal of controversy, the closing down of schools and the impact on the community. I think one of, probably in my memory of Kenosha, the riots were the most unsettling of the community, a period of semi-anarchy. Those who wanted to take over the courthouse, and that's why the courthouse was guarded by the state patrol. I thought that could have been handled more effectively by the governor, by sending in troops more quickly, and they should have had 1,500 troops down here immediately to quell the situation. I don't think it was realized by officialdom that that was such an unsettling period of time, but it was. It shook the confidence of many in government. The governor's answer to the troop issue was, I sent what the mayor and the county executive requested. And I don't know the truth of that or not. Finally, we got 1,500 troops down here to settle things. But that was a period of time when people lost confidence in one another. They were highly critical of one another, and shook the very fabric of the community. I don't think we've still gotten over that period of time, but we will eventually.
And what is the county board's role in such a thing?
Well, I think there was a good deal of controversy about, do we meet in person, do we meet not in person? I thought that we should meet in person just to give the people the understanding that nobody's going to shake the fabric of government because they want to burn down buildings and cause havoc. We also supported the troops coming here. We supported the local sheriff and police department in maintaining the peace. And I think they did the best job that they could. So the other thing I think the county board does, as does the mayor, does the city council and the county executive, is that you try to give the community confidence that you're in charge, that radical element is not going to burn down the community. I remember talking to one lawyer from Racine, and she said, they're going to burn that sucker down. That was her attitude, and that was her expression. That didn't happen, and I think that it didn't happen because government took eventually a strong position against it.
Okay. After 34 years, I believe it was 2024, you ran for another term and you were defeated.
Yes.
By how many votes did you lose that election?
That was 38 votes. And
38
so
votes, okay.
I won by 38, I lost by 38, and I served 38, and it's been a pleasure.
So what was that campaign like? Was it different from other campaigns?
It was different because there was the COVID and the riot hangover, and the community was divided, and that prompted, I think, a close election. But we tried to run a clean campaign. I wish my successor well, and have no hard feelings about it.
During that election, were there a number of supervisors who lost, who had been incumbents?
There were, and that had to do, I think, with a couple of things. One was the COVID riot hangover, as well as the leadership at the time of the county board could have been less divisive and could have been maintained the peace in the county board and those who came to speak there. And consequently, a lot of supervisors were swept out of office because they were blamed for things that I don't think they were responsible for. But so be it. It's time to move on. That's my attitude.
So, 39 years ago, you were on the county board, and you served for 38 years. What was it like, the tone between supervisors when you first were on the board, and how they dealt with issues, and how did that change over the time that you were supervisor?
Well, I think there was a little more camaraderie in the early years than there were at the end. There were some sharp divisions. I don't know if they still are sharp divisions on the county board, but at least in my last 2 terms, there were some sharp divisions which did not, I think, lend itself to a collegiality that there was before, and that I didn't like. And I don't care for that kind of government. These aren't personal issues, and it's not, if I can be friends with somebody who I disagree with, and that seemed to be a demarcation in my last 4 years on the board.
Do you miss being a supervisor?
No. I mean, I enjoyed it very much, and but I'm very involved in the practice of law. It's the busiest time of my life as an attorney. I've always been busy, but I would say I'm busier than ever. I'm working probably about 9-10 hours a day. I also put in maybe 10 hours on the weekend. So my days and nights are full, and I'm focusing on other things. But I enjoyed being on the county board very much.
Okay. Looking back on all those years as a supervisor, what thoughts do you have about being on the board for so long, reflecting?
Well, being a county board supervisor, I thought was an honor. I enjoyed being local government. I think that when I originally returned to Kenosha, that I would make a political career of it. And I just changed my focus, primarily I think because I enjoyed practicing with my father and now with my son. And perhaps I'll have a grandson or 2 sometime in the future there if I'm still around. So I think I changed my focus from a political career to strictly a legal career, but I did want to have my fingers in the pie. As Jim Cruiser once said to me, that it keeps you, it takes care of your political fixation. And so that's why I enjoyed being on the county board, but I kind of gave up my thoughts of doing something more than that. When I got on the county board in 1986, I think I wanted to move, that would be a springboard to other things. When I was the county executive for that brief period of time, that would have been an opportunity for me to run for county executive and proceed on with a political career that probably could have started much earlier, but I didn't follow that. So.
Well, thank you for joining me
Well,
today.
it's been a pleasure.